Learning a new skill changes certain parts of the brain. This is by Dr. Daniel Amen. And this speaks specifically to the ability to grow and adapt. It gives us hope that as we work with our students who face learning difficulties or have big challenges and big behaviors, sometimes it's possible that these big behaviors are coming because they have a learning difficulty. And it reinforces us to know that all students have a capacity to change. And if they can improve with practice and the right strategies in place, if we give them new skills, new words, new ways to think, then we're empowered to view every challenge as an opportunity for growth. And we can work with our kids and understand that their difficulties may be something that's going on in their brain and changing certain parts of their brain as they're learning new skills. Welcome to the Society's Child podcast, where we have real conversations about being a trauma-responsive educator in the midst of a significant mental health crisis. Hi, I'm Trish Senzak, a former educator, compassion advocate, and Jesus lover, and I'm so grateful that you're here. Are you feeling confuzzled about your students' behavior and needs? You're not alone. If trauma-informed strategies leave you wondering, what's next? Don't worry. My friend, I've been there too. As a foster mom and a child of complex trauma mixed with my experience as a teacher, it's led me to finding a compassionate, whole child approach that's evidence-based, practical, and transformational, and I'm so eager to share it with you. Whether you want to connect with your students on a deeper level, create a trauma-sensitive environment, or you just need a little bit of encouragement or support, you're in the right place. So grab a drink, a pen, or your earbuds, and let's work together to create a safe and student-attuned trauma-responsive school culture. Society's children need you. So let's get started. Hey, amazing educators. Good to be here again with you today. And I've got a little bit of a different episode. Today, we're going to talk about some quotes that I've read by some neuroscience researchers. And I thought these were pretty powerful because they help us frame students' behaviors, the challenges, and it gives us abilities to look at these through a potential lens of neuroscience, which really in the end would give us greater empathy and more effective teaching strategies. The one that I want to start with is neurons that fire together, wire together. And this is by Donald Hebb. This quote explains how repeated behaviors, whether they're positive or negative, they shape the brain's connections. So for us as educators, we understand the importance of consistent positive reinforcement or ability to help the kid if they're struggling with behavior and learning, and realizing that this behavior that they might have, it's not a sign of inability, but it means that their brain might need more practice to form new positive connections. So if we're doing something with our kids who have these big behaviors, the more we're consistent with our conversation, we're consistent with the words we use, consistent with the way we handle it, it helps promote patience and persistence in our teaching, as well as help fire those neurons together so that they wire new pathways. The next quote that I want to give you is, stress impairs the brain's cognitive abilities, making it difficult to focus and retain information. This is by Dr. John Medina. So when our students are stressed, their brains cannot absorb new information effectively. And this is true for us as adults as well. And if we as educators can understand this, we're more likely to focus on creating calm, safe environments and teaching stress management skills or teaching them ways that they can walk through managing their own stress. And this would also remind us that we don't take poor focus or performance personally. A lot of times their behaviors can feel personal, but we can look at these as stress responses and know that it's not laziness, it's not defiance. It may be just a survival technique or a coping mechanism that's causing them to shut down. And if we can look for that need behind the behavior and consider that it very well could be stress and that it could be impairing their brain's ability to focus and retain any information, it might give us the ability to be a little bit more empathetic with our kids. The third one that I want to give you is the adolescent brain is not a broken or defective adult brain. It is wonderfully adaptive, designed to change and be shaped by experience. This is Dr. Lawrence Steinberg. Adolescence, as we know, is a great time of great brain plasticity, where they're making new pathways, their brains are growing. It's highly influenced by the environment, the experiences, the stresses, the learning, everything going on in their life. And so we as educators, we have the opportunity to positively shape our students' brains by providing structure, giving them positive feedback, supportive relationships, and using compassion and empathy, and recognizing that these young brains, they're still developing, and we cannot put that expectation that they know things we know as adults, because it's just not fair to them, and it's not possible to make them live into that same expectation that we have as adults, because their brains are just not adult brains. So I wanted to give you 3 strategies of things that you can do as you're thinking about these developing brains. Number 1, teach emotional regulation skills. Sometimes the deep breathing techniques or the grounding exercises, or even just the new language that we're giving students when they're feeling overwhelmed, when they're feeling stressed, their brain feels like it's too much or it's shutting down. We can guide them through these practices to help them manage their emotions. We can reduce the impact of the fight or flight, because the amygdala, the emotion part of the brain, reacts much quicker than the thinking part of the brain. So if we give them words and we give them strategies while they're young, this will become part of their vocabulary. And if we repeat these things over and over and do these as patterns and as processes, we can be adding these things to their brain as a positive reinforcement to how they can grow up and how they can have appropriate responses. Number 2, I would encourage you to give brain breaks to reset focus. So during your lessons, give chances for them to just come out of thinking mode for a moment. These are short activities that you can do to just 1 to 3 minutes to give them a break, allow the brain to reset, especially if you've been going at it really hard with a long period of intense focus. It might be something like standing up and stretching, doing a fun physical activity, or maybe just a deep breathing exercise to get them to refocus and get them out of their thinking brain for a moment. Because neuroscience shows that the prefrontal cortex tires very easily. And these breaks that you can use to reset their focus and attention, it improves their ability to stay focused when they return back to the learning tasks. And number 3, I would encourage you to use visual timers for transitions. As their brains are developing, they need patterns and they need structure. And the more you can do these kinds of things, if you introduce the visual timers to help students with transitions between activities, especially in children and adolescents who struggle with time management and shifting between tasks, these visual timers, whether they're color-coded or a clock app, something that shows the time passing by, it helps them anticipate changes. It reduces that stress for them, reduces the anxiety, and gives their brain a clear signal as to when the transition will happen. And it'll make it easier to adjust, and it makes it easier on the stress of their brain. So I hope you found something here that would help you with understanding that the adolescent brain is different than the adult brain, and that learning skills for these particular students, it helps certain parts of their brain, and it's adapting, and the brain that wires together, it will help them as they're walking through these things. If you have a safe, predictable environment and you're leaning into these kids with big challenges and big behaviors, these kinds of things and this empathy and compassion will help you understand your students better, and you will get better learning results along the way. I hope this has been helpful, and I hope you found something in here that you can use and take away for your classroom. Until next time, my friends, we'll see you on the next episode. If you're looking for ways to build more peace in your career, I've created a list of 75 affirmations based on 25 Bible scriptures, and I'd love to share it with you and help you keep your sanity. You can go to trishz.com/Bible-AFFS. That's AFFS for affirmations. I'll also leave the link in the show notes for you too. Until next time, my friend, stay grounded, stay regulated, and stay prayed up. Hey, amazing educators, thanks for tuning in. If you found this episode helpful, I'd love for you to hit subscribe and leave a review. Even better, share this episode with a colleague. And hey, I'd love to connect with you on social media. You can even join my Facebook group for some extra support and a dash of inspiration. I've left all the links in the show notes. Until next time, my friend, remember, you're not alone on this journey. You've got this. Keep making a difference and stay teach-tastic.